Good day, class. So our lesson for today is for my grade 11 ADM students. This is week 2 and 3 for quarter 3. So for our objectives for today, at the end of the discussions, you will be able to explain the varied accounting concepts and principles, and also you can solve exercises on accounting principles as applied in various cases. Our topic for today is about the accounting concepts and principles. This is very important before we proceed with the proper discussions, solving problems in accounting. So we will be guided. Just like in any organization, even in our family or in our classroom settings, we have rules, principles to follow, so we will be guided. For today's topic, again, is about Generally Accepted Accounting Principles or GAAP. What are the rules, standards, and procedures that we will be following? For Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, its characteristics are the following. It ensures that financial statements are meaningful and useful to of course, it is very important so that the management can give the accurate decision makings which is for the future of the business. It is also used in the business whether the company is large or small entity. And it allows financial statement of different companies to be compared. It is very important for the company to have comparison so that they will know what will be the marketing strategy, what will be their future plan for their companies, and also if they are left behind from their competitors. Generally accepted accounting principles are very broad in general statements. These are the rules or procedures that serve as guides in the practice of accounting. These are also the standards, assumptions, and concepts with general acceptability. These are measurement techniques and standards used in the presentation and preparation of financial statements. Our goal is to prepare financial statement to be able to provide it to our users. But for us to provide the financial statement, we need to follow some rules and regulations. There are general rules and concepts that govern the field of accounting. For example, International Accounting Standards Board or IASB, or in the Philippines, we have Financial Reporting Standards Council. It is required to follow generally accepted accounting principles in the preparation of those statements. And both companies' management and the independent accountants must certify that the financial statements and the related notes to the financial statements have been prepared in accordance with GAAP. GAAP is exceedingly useful because it attempts to standardize and regulate accounting definitions, assumptions, and methods. For basic accounting principles, let's start with objectivity principle. It states that all businesses, transactions that will be entered into accounting records must be duly supported by duly verifiable evidence. That means example of this evidence is the receipt that is registered from BIR. Example, when the company placed the order, it must have received a bill. And when the company has made the payment, it should also have received a receipt. So the receipt is very important for us when we do the recording because that is our evidence for bookkeeping. Now let's proceed with historical cost. It states that the assets and liabilities of a business should be presented in accounting records at their historical cost. So let's cite here an example. Let us assume that a herbal medicine company purchases a piece of land for growing herbs on it, paying $25,000 in cash. The company will enter $25,000 or the company will do the recording as the cost of the land will be $25,000. In a booming real estate market, the fair market value of the land 5 years later will be $35,000. Although the market price of the land increases, but of course, when we do the recording, at the end of the accounting period, we should record the land in according to its cost, which is $25,000. We will record the land to the balance sheet or statement of financial position. But of course, take note of this, that when we do the recording for the land, which is $25,000, because we will base on its historical cost, we also have to make a note to the notes of the financial statements that its market value is $35,000. For accrual principle, financial statements are prepared under accruals concept of accounting, which requires that income and expense must be recognized in the accounting periods to which they relate rather than on cash basis. Under accrual basis of accounting, income must be recorded in the accounting period in which it is earned. So for us to understand, let us give an example here. A hotel cannot consider an advance payment of a client for his stay 1 month in advance. Like for example, today is February 3, 2022, and the customer paid for his stay for 1 month in advance, which will be, the stay will be March 15 to April 2022. So for now, this is considered as liability because we cannot consider it as income until the customer or client will stay in our hotel or we can render service to him. For adequate disclosure, it states that all materials, facts that will significantly affect the financial statements must be indicated. What does that mean? So for example, building was built in 2015 for the amount of 20 million pesos. The current market value of the building in 2021 was 25,000 pesos. So of course, the value of the building originally was 20 million pesos. For the disclosure, we have to make sure, that's what I have discussed earlier, that for the recording of the building, we will write the original or historical cost, which is 20 million pesos. However, for the notes to financial statements, we will make a note that the building market value is 25 million pesos. That's what it means by adequate disclosure, to avoid confusion to the users of the financial statements. For materiality, it means that financial reporting is only concerned with information significant enough to affect decisions. For example, insignificant amount like supplies, paper clips, like worth 100 pesos, if we failed or forgot to record this asset, we can charge it right away to expenses. As long as the asset does not affect, or it is very small amount that if we failed to do the recording, does not affect to the decision making of the management. That's what it means by materiality. Consistency. Approaches used in reporting must be uniformly employed from period to period to allow comparison of results between time periods. So for example, class, if the straight line method is being used for the depreciation of the asset, example for the building, for the first year of the building, so this will also be the same method to be used for the next years in computing the building depreciation. So there will be consistency in presenting the asset in the financial statement. For our fundamental concept, we have entity concept. The business enterprise is separate and distinct from its owners and from other enterprises. Example for this, if example company A has more than one business, like he has parlor and hardware. So company A should record the transaction of parlor separate to its hardware transactions. So there should be entity concept. Second is periodicity. For reporting purposes, 1 year is usually considered as one accounting period. But for periodicity, we have calendar year and fiscal year. For calendar year, this is a 12-month period that starts January 1 and will end every December 31. While fiscal year, it started any day of the month. Like for example, February 29. That's how company started. So next year, January 31 will be the end of the reporting. For the going concern, it assumes that the business enterprise will continue to operate indefinitely. Just also like in the relationship, that when you commit to any relationship, you have goals or rules. But of course, the purpose of having a relationship is for lifetime or forever. That's the same also with the business. The fundamental concept of the business is going concern. That once you start your business, you assume that you will continue. Of course, the bankruptcy is another story. But somehow that's the concept of the business. That's the fundamental concept. So hi class, that's the end of our discussion for generally accepted accounting principles. I hope you learned something from this video. And for the assessment, I will be uploading or I will be updating in our group chat. Usually, I uploaded the assessment in our Google Classroom. So for other reference also, you can read our learning activity sheet that will be uploaded in our classroom also.